As the clock continues to tick, video games, live incidents on television programs and movies end up becoming lost medias. And in this video, we'll be shining a light on more disturbing lost media cases. And I'm Sir Chris. I explore the internet and I make videos about it. A quick thanks to our Patreon supporter Pawn, it means a lot, and let's go. Pink Morning. This lost media came to the surface through a post on Reddit of a video called Anonymous Bizarre Public Access Morning Kids Show, which was published in 2007. It shows us an episode of an old, yet bizarre program that used to be aired at 4 in the morning, called by the community as the Pink Morning Show. The short section of the episode shows us a bizarre animation made in CGI of two children called Katie and Jean who were at their grandmother's house, until eventually they enter a room full of macabre hats with mouths. 2 years later, the same channel posts another video which shows us what we saw before, but now in better quality, along with the following information. It was on an old VHS tape that I had. I would see this come on typically around 5 AM in the late 90s, early 2000s. These leads made many later doubt about their credibility, but even with that, the channel posts another clip from another episode with the song and title Everything's Coming Up Spring. But after the upload, the channel fell into silence and what seemed to be lost would remain lost due to it not gathering much attention. Until in 2020. In 2020, a publication was created on the Lost Media Wiki in which this thread brought more valuable information, such as the fact that that animation was from a religious station that closed called Sky Angel, and it was known for making obscure and low-budget animations. And with this, people knew where to keep searching, and eventually, the group discovered that this animation had been shown on a television channel called WYNGLP under the real name Kids Fun Festival. The channel at the time was known for mainly broadcasting religious content and cartoons, most of which had been made by the former owner, Hella Flowers, who went on to produce this lost media. She unfortunately died in 2017, and when the group got in touch with one of the granddaughters, one of them stated that it's very likely that there were still recorded tapes, as the program was decently known. But even with this glimpse of hope, for now, this animation remains a lost media. Manger and Twinkle. Couples for Christ in Theodora is a Catholic church project with the intention of drawing public's attention to various topics, in which there were two of their PSAs that ended up becoming lost medias, such as the advertisement called Twinkle and Manger. The Twinkle ad begins with a dark background, while we can hear a child singing the classic song Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which then the following messages appear. 30 seconds of darkness in memories of millions of babies who never saw the light of day. This ad is the lightest compared to the Manger. The ad Manger begins with a manger, while we can hear another child singing Do You Hear What I Hear while the camera zooms in. Then later, we can hear the same child becoming more depressed as he sees blood falling onto the blanket. And then seconds later, we can see while the following messages appear. Whatever you do to the least of my brothers, you do unto me. For Christ's sake, forget about it. This lost media was lost for 21 years, as it stopped appearing on televisions around late 90s to early 2000s. But luckily it was found in 2021, and I feel sorry for those who had to watch this in the middle of the night. Otto Triin. Otto Triin was a character created for the television station TV3, who quickly exploded in popularity among children. In just 5 years, the character was so famous that he appeared on television programs, products, cassettes, had his own chocolate brand, and even had his own radio program. Even though the program was aired for 5 years, information about it is still scarce. Almost no one has recorded any of the episodes, and mysteriously, out of nowhere, the station stopped broadcasting it. And there's a reason for that. In 1997, Tonu Pavu, the manager of TV3 and also the manager of the program, on Christmas Eve, ended up being involved in a car accident in which he killed a 37-year-old woman and her 5-year-old daughter. With the news spreading, several controversies occurred, which was probably one of the factors that caused this program to disappear from the station, and so, Dino Lussar, the actor behind Otto Triin costume, ends up creating and participating in another program called Ja Laissez Jappe. But allegedly, in 2019, Vino ended up being accused of in which After an investigation, the police had found a disc that contained disgusting content, which allegedly made him sentenced to only 5 years in prison. Honestly, so we can sleep better at night, this program should remain a lost media. Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark was a film about a romantic story between two protagonists before and during the First World War, in which they eventually have to separate because they were from rival countries. But this film is, and will be remembered for one of its heavy scenes, which unfortunately could have been avoided. The flood, where in this scene, 6,000 gallons of water were used to imitate the flood. The force of the water was so overwhelming that it collapsed several structures and allegedly caused 3 extras to die in that same scene, and several suffered from serious injuries. So serious that even one of the extras had to have one of his legs amputated. Now you might be thinking, this is tragic, but where is the lost media? The film initially had a duration of 2 hours, but after receiving several criticisms, this led to the film being revised and thus cutting 35 out of 135 minutes. The lost media is in the longer version of the film, which was allegedly very heavy. In the full version, you could see these extras drowning and the various accidents that occurred at the scene. Several attempts were made to recover what was cut, but the furthest they managed to get was the 108-minute version. Jules Bianchi. Jules Bianchi was a French Formula 1 driver from the Marussia team, who unfortunately is known for being the last driver to die after an accident on the track in Suzuka Circuit. In 2014, during the first Formula 1 season, the 15th track was the Suzuka Circuit in Japan. When the time came, it was predicted that Typhoon Fafone would approach Japan, bringing strong rains and winds, which obviously made the track more dangerous than already was. The rain was so intense to the point that the race had to be restarted, but when everything calmed down, the race went smoothly until in the 14th lap, where on that lap, Adrian Sutil ended up crashing into the barriers, but ended up being fine. And in order for the car to be removed from the track, they used a tractor. But on the next lap, Jules ends up losing control of the car on that same curve, causing him to crash into the tractor at 131 miles per hour, and this accident caused the race to be cancelled. The damage that Jules had suffered was so severe that he was identified with diffuse axonal injury, which gave him only a 10% chance of survival. But unfortunately, on July 7th of 2015, Jules ends up dying. The lost media allegedly comes through the professional recording of the race, such as the cameras in Jules' car and the cameras near the curves. But due to respect of the family members, these recordings will remain a lost media. Christine Chubbuck. Christine Chubbuck was a journalist known to many because of a live incident that even a documentary about it was made. But first, we need to know a little of her story. Christine was born and lived in Hudson, Ohio with her 2 brothers. Eventually after school, she began to pursue a career in journalism in which she was successful, to the point that she participated in several programs and radio stations, until eventually she had her own program called Suncoast Digest. Everything seemed to be fine, but in reality, it wasn't. Because behind closed doors, Christine was battling against depression and tendencies for a long time. One of the reasons is the fact that she was unable to maintain intimate relationships, and out of her 29 years of age, she only dated once at 21. At 28, she had her right ovary removed, which the doctor said that if she didn't get pregnant in 3 years, it was most likely that she was infertile, which obviously made things worse. Her mental state was in a bad spot, to the point where she constantly criticized herself, did not accept compliments, and allegedly made an alarming joke about on television. And unfortunately, on July 15th of 1974, while presenting Suncoast Digest program, 8 Minutes Live, she presents 3 pieces of news, and in the 4th, when it fails to show the footage, she says the following chilling phrases. In keeping with WXLT practice of presenting the most immediate and complete reports of local blood and gut news, TV40 presents what is believed to be of television first, in living color, an exclusive coverage of an attempted. Soon after, she pulls a revolver and right on the scene, which then quickly the screen goes dark. The only recording of what happened live will continue to be a lost media for obvious reasons, but apparently the real audio was leaked. If any of you are suffering from depression, I want you to know that there's always someone here to listen. If you need it, I will leave some help hotlines in the description. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Junction. Junction was a low-budget program from the 80s which aired on a Christian television station. The program consisted of a set that created to look like a village, in which inhabited 4 of the program's hosts. The program consisted of several children participating in challenges, while at the same time receiving valuable lessons from the Bible. But how this program disappeared still remains a mystery. And on YouTube, there are still 35 episodes that still survive to tell the story. That the program that seemed innocent contained a sick individual. It all starts with a simple traffic violation stop in 1998, where the police officers who stopped him noticed that he had a pair of underwear next to his seat. When asked about it, he said it was for his puppets, and thus comes out clean. It didn't raise many suspicions, because he was known for using puppets in the congregations he attended, and he was also known for holding pizza parties for the kids, and for in general being a nice guy. But in 2013, Ronald Brown is caught for having sickening content about minors, and fortunately he was arrested. This news caused the program tapes to be demolished after the incident, in which only a few episodes of this lost media survived. And since you watched the video until the end, what about more lost medias? Thank you so much for watching, and take care, my friend.